Stage 1, I call it stage 1. Stage 1, we need qualified medical professionals. Okay, yeah, that means I have to, shall we say, educate it, bring it out more, the internal Neidan Taoist medicine, which we can bang, zapping people and know exactly how to make diagnosis and, make it into a controlled therapy. When we have, let's say in the university, when we have 30 people, 50 people, and, so on and so forth, slowly coming out, then we can move on to stage 2. And what is stage 2? Now, those you guys saw all my 20 years right, in Slovakia, in the cleansing camp. We call it the cleansing camp, right? Yeah. So you see the hotels, I book a hotel, usually I book it for the entire week, right? Book the entire hotel and everything. So hundreds of different patients coming all over the world come for cleansing, okay? Which is obviously, I start training and all the senior student as well, because that's hands-on, okay, yeah? Now, we will be having, if we have a lot of these physicians come out, then we can have our own healing village, you call it, or cleansing village, or rehabilitation center, you call it. It doesn't matter, it's just a name. So we allow all different people all over the world come over to us, and we can treat them. First, if people prefer to use Western medicine, fine, we have qualified, right, medical profession. You want to use herb, also fine. But if these two medicine fail, then we zap them with the third approach. We have 3 different type field of study. Okay, well, you are doing it already. Yeah, some of you are doing it. Okay, I'll give you 100. I'll give you 100 patients. Can you do with 100 patients? I'm telling you, you'll be dead, because you cannot keep giving out your energy, because we are talking about our own life force. Right? You cannot keep zapping people, 100 people, 100 people. No, you have to rest, you have to recharge, you have to cleanse yourself. That's the processes. We cannot run any of this kind of rehabilitation center if we don't have a team. Okay. And then when we have enough, physician coming out every year from the university, then this is stage 2. And then we have stage 3, we have stage 4. That's how my plan is all drawn out. So if you want to join us in the future, that would be, a long way to go. Of course, I might not even see it, but it's written down and a research will pick it up. The group leaders will obviously stand as a team. Okay. So any other question, anybody want to ask?
No, I was just going to say, in terms of this year, sort of timeframes, or just in terms of the timeframes for the curriculum and how long it might take. And I'm just wondering, is there going to be written tests, and sort of, is it going to be like,
if we are, because we're all part-timers, aren't we? We just do a few hours here, a few hours here. I'm asking you for 2 hours in the senior level. You guys, I'm asking for you for 3 hours in a week. And then, of course, with the free lectures, you can always lock on at your own time to study it. I don't have that kind of time to teach you everything. Okay, but I have to teach you it's the methodology. But all the we got about what, 200 free lectures there. So it's up to you to go into the library and dig it out for your reference. It's all for references. So if you don't look at it, it's like even better than books. So let's just say I have 200 books on the shelf for you, to check. And if you don't go through the book, or you expect me to teach you, I'm only a human being. I cannot teach 15 different countries, okay? So therefore, I can only specializing it now in training in the physical side. So the learning curve, going back into it, of course, is we're all part-timers, we are all leisures, it's hobby at the moment, isn't it? You're not, I haven't gone back to the university curriculum yet, hasn't it? But it's part of it. So what I would suggest you learn as much as you can, because when in the future, when I can actually hit back to Beijing University and things for the curriculum, you're already halfway there. You don't have to spend extra time. True? Yeah, so really it's your own training and your own learning. Nothing to do with me. This is your Tao. You don't want to walk it, I cannot carry you.
No,
You
no
know?
worries. No, that's all good. I was just wondering in terms of those time frames.
Good.
Also, one little question that's been on my mind: if you're doing the normal exercises and you stimulate the biochemicals,
What exercise?
yeah, so you sort of do the exercises, the sort of skeletal, electrical, biochemical, and you release the jade tablet and the earth tablet and jade liquid, for instance, but not through spontaneous. You don't have to close down, do you? It's different.
Now you have to close down depending on how much you're releasing, but at the moment, right, you're not going into this, you know, the animals and the emotion outburst. Yes, that's it's only a very limited amount coming out because it's a cycle.
Okay.
So only when you go into even the spontaneous is, you know, no, you don't move, and then you have small movement, and then you have large movement. Remember, these are spasm. These are spasm of your musculoskeletal systems. So of course it will start a little bit more, a little bit drip of hormone coming out, natural body hormone. But when you go into the 5 animals and the 5 elements that actually go inside now, because this is the muscle inside the body now, is your organs now. It's not your joint. It's your organ having a spasm. Okay, yeah. So and then the emotion come out as well, and that time you go back down, finish a cycle, and then right back to the no movement. That's why it's like no movements is beta, and then you go through alpha, and then you go through theta, and then you go back into delta, completely flatten out. That's where the emptiness is. That's the time that the body really, the entire endocrine system open up. The 3 dantian open up. All the relative, shall we say, the J liquid, golden liquid come out, or babies, just different term, or hormone come out. At that time, it will be better for you to close down. Okay, yeah. So,
but the pores opened up as well with the embryonic breathing, and so it's just the rubbing down as well as sort of good as well.
The whole body. You open a window, you have to shut it.
Yeah.
It really then depending on how big the window you open. If you open the window like this, fine, you don't bother. But when you completely open it, the rain comes in, isn't it? Anything will come in. Of course, you have to shut it. Make sense? Any, Rebecca, you did raise your hand.
Actually, Jason kind of asked something that I was going to ask about, if there would be any written work. I mean, obviously, from your answer, you're not going to be requesting written work that you will mark. But I'm making loads of notes, and I think you seem to be saying that just do your own work and it will all be useful at some point, if there may be a point at which that can be presented at some point.
Right. You can understand that, right? Although today, every day I work about 10 hours, right? I do it in my sleep. To write a piece of articles, it takes weeks, months. How many, even for the book, right? Yeah, I managed to do one Chinese book published. The English book is still waiting, all the pandemic finish, I'm publishing it. And it took me years, yeah? But now with technology, I can talk. Isn't it not a talking book? What do you call it?
Audio book, yeah. I mean, I think I really was referring to written work that we as students may find ourselves doing.
Yes, because at the end of the day, like, people don't want to go through the university level. That's fine. Just take it as a hobby. Okay. But if you want to become a more professional wise, then of course let's just say at the end of the year, right? Yeah. I might just give you a title. You write it, and then help you to understand how to present your dissertation when you become, you're doing the master's degree. And then when you want to do the PhD, yes, I can be your supervisor. But then the paper, not only read by me, will be read by other professors as well, isn't it? So you have to learn how to write it. True. So
Thank you.
that's your work. That's your Tao. It's not my Tao. I've been there, I've done it, and I've seen it. So now it's your turn. That's all. Okay. Anybody else?
I've got another question, Sifu, sorry. So just to clarify, will there ever be a university course specifically for internal Taoist medicine? Is there an aim towards any kind of a university level course that you can actually take, that we can take? Is it going to be in Chinese or English, or is there as a sort of specific degree, let's say, or master's degree?
Now, exactly. That is exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing this curriculum and submit it back to, obviously, it's Taoist medicine. I have to submit it back to Beijing University, the authority. That's why I'm a national grade 2. I'm a national grade 2, the vice chairman of, the Naidan Dao, the internal Taoist medicine, research center or research team in Beijing University. Now, because this knowledge has been, shall we say, misunderstood for thousands of years. Yeah. And now China has got more money now. And don't forget, China has been down for many hundreds of years, 300 years until now. Then China has more money and is stabilizing the society, and more people have education. You know how many hundreds of thousands of every year, right? PhD and master degree coming out every year. Okay, so this is a time now to put this ancient knowledge back into a format. That's part of my job. Of other professors doing it as well. Right, so I'm doing my part of the job because I got 28 years of clinical case study. Why a lot of professors, they just talk. Just a lot of this master, they just talk. Or, oh yeah, I've got a backache. Oh, it's better now, the backache. Can we do a bit better? Can we do stage 4 lymphomatous? Can we do multiple sclerosis? True. Yeah. So that's my job now, is I'm going to go back, right? Because grade 2 is under Taoism. The Taoism is grade 1 because under Taoism, you got astronomy, you got quantum physics in the ancient term, the modern term now, and you got sociology, you got all different type of different knowledge coming out under the study of Taoism. Heaven, earth. Heaven is arithmetic, physics. That's why they call it the heaven. Earth and human energy. The earth is ecology, right? Climatic reason things in all this energy affecting us, and then the humans. So, but they're all under the Taoism. So we are specializing in dealing with these environmental factors. And that's why we call Taoist medicine either Waidan and Naidan. It is grade 2. So we are under grade 2. So that's why you can go into Taoism. Yeah. And then later on, you can specialize in your PhD in, the Naidan. Okay, so I'm going to put that proper, first year, what we're doing, second year, what we're doing, third year, what we're doing, fourth year, what we're doing, and that the first degree. And then you can go into the hands-on. So for a master degree, I'll take you guys down into the clinics, hospitals, put your hands out, because you have to have hands out. You have to have clinical case study, because when you zap people, you don't know how the people react. Huh? And then after that, then you're free to do your research work. That's why the doctor in research, a PhD comes in. You can pick any topic you want, right? So like Nancy, if she wanted to pick on that, what phobia, Paul?
Wasps and bees, I had a phobia of, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but is it a term we could...
Insectophobia.
Sorry, what's that?
Insectophobia.
Insectophobia. Sounds
Okay.
good.
There you go. Okay. So other people, maybe you want to say, even like I said, if you want to do the drug addictions, that could be another topics. Nobody done it before, and you can write that. And that's be out of my hand, because then you're dealing with the university now. I'm only there beside you. I'm only a supervisor, and there are many supervisors around you. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Good. So any other question? We'll put it in perspective for this year. So now the rest is up to you. if you want to join us or not. Okay. Oh, what about Medica? Hossein, how are you? Any question?
Ace.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just pondering about your Tao, the way you became enlightened in this path. Your Tao in terms of the Tao Nagdan medicine and the wonderful experience that you had going to that holy mountain, Shandu. That's the way you say it, Master? Is it Shandu? Shandu?
Yeah, Shandong is the university. That's where I
And
7
yeah,
years.
you had a wonderful experience there, and that's a very holy place. That's a very holy mountain. You got that Tien mountain over there, and it's all right there at the center of all these systems of energy of enlightenment, which is the Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, and some other ism I forgot. And that's a very holy place where you went to get that revelation and that ancient knowledge. And we would like you one day to explain those experiences that you had there, and that beautiful, you had that burning bush like Moses had, that experience on the holy mountain. And that's the most holy mountain in China.
Oh, yeah, you are correct. Only in a certain way. I'll give you
Elaborate a little bit, Master.
a simple answer. We are talking about elements. Mountain is only an earth elements. What about the oceans? What about the minerals, right? Yeah, the metal elements. What about the woods or the forest? Yeah, the fire, the sun, the ground heat, the lava. So yes, only part of it. So that's why we have a lot of misinterpretation about this so-called natural body energy, natural energy of the cosmic. Then we can looking into other energy as well. So we're looking at electromagnetic fields, and we are looking at low frequency infrared. So these are the knowledge, and it's just why the ancient just called it heaven and earth and human energy, the treasures of the cosmic. Yeah, so I think if you use that term, then you will not, start going everywhere. So not only Shandong, there are 5 major mountain range in China. Shandong have one very, very well-known one, but what about the other 4? True. So it's a big place. And what about even in America? I'm telling you that there must be places, even like, what do you call it? The what?
Grand Canyon.
That Grand Canyon, exactly. I am sure the energy in there, my God.
Sedona.
There you go. So even like in Hawaii, all over the world. Okay, so that's why you don't have to be Shandong Taisan, it's just natural body medicine, right? Environment we're living in, because we are 5 elements. So if we can connect, there's a huge energy field out there. The thing is, can you tap into it? And then shut it down when you finish with it. Because if not, it's going to kill you. Because don't play with fire. You don't know how to put it out. That's why it's dangerous. True. Don't forget, in the Greek, they got thunder god, haven't they? Thorn, isn't it? Electrical god in it. Now, these are all powerful energy. Can we tap into that? Now, like Tom here. Tom is thorn, isn't it? With playing with all the electromagnetic field. See, these are natural elements. So we are looking at elements. So if you look at it from that way, that will not be confusing you too much. So we are only one human species. We're all the same. Doesn't matter where. I'm sure the Native American, right? They have much powerful, very powerful energy work. True? Yeah. So it's a matter of, if you can get into their well, and if they're willing to teach you, then I'm sure that would be amazing as well. but I don't speak the language. I don't have access to them. So I can only share with you what I'm, available is the Chinese side. That's all. Even like India, right? I'm sure they got loads and loads of energy work in there, but I don't speak the languages. I can't, we're all separate, different culture as well, so I can't help you on that. Fair enough. I'm sure Dr. Nimata, right? I'm sure you agree, isn't it? True. A lot of the time that even the ancient knowledge has been misinterpreted because don't forget about the time lost in translation as well, So our job is trying to use modern languages, modern science to try to decode the experience, the wisdom of the ancient. It doesn't matter what country, every races would have energy work. Remember that. They're all good. Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Good. I think any more? Tweety, Vietnam, do you have ask anything? You're very quiet.
I just passion in your therapy. That's why I just study and training. That's it. I follow you to the university and later too.
Thank you. Now, one thing I would say to all of you is, right, I'm only one person. I cannot teach you everything. Now, the curriculum, when you go back to university, will be put along with many, many different professors. Okay, so I would suggest to you that you can go into back your own country, because even like Waidan, even like the principle of the yin and yang, the principle of the 5 elements, right? The principle of the organ chi, these are already well written down, and some of the English translation is very good as well, right? Yeah. So look at the author. Do not look at the author which is not qualified in the medical professions. Okay, yeah, because all these masters so-and-so, they're not even qualified in any medical profession. When you're talking about medicine, you're looking at Master Huang, Master Li. Excuse me, who are you? Master Huang. Oh, I'm come from Shaolin Temple. I'm a Shaolin monk. It's all blinking nonsense. Okay, that's why I left it. Fair enough. But you can then at your own time study that, saving me teaching you, because I just don't have time to do everything. Okay. So also like bone setting, right? Bone setting, you call it chiropractic, you call it physiotherapy. It's all good because you're working with hand, and we do working with hand. And why is it I work with my hand on my patient, right? Yeah, I can help them in stage 4 liver metastasis. So many people work with the hand. They can't even help people with the backache. Why? Because when I'm working with people, I energize them when I touch them. So it depending on my levels of energy, because my level of energy, we call it, I've gone through the heaven, earth, and I'm a conductor. And I turn myself, all the natural body, medicine, right? And then connecting, and then I'll, boom, transfer into it. So of course, this is why I have 28 years of successful case study, all film, everything documented. But to put it down into a more sustainable, which is, like a case study, we need more research on that. So that means when you're doing it, when you're teaching your student in the future, first, you must make sure they know what they're doing, because if they don't, they'll end up with serious trouble, so. Sulafari, okay.
Savari.
Sorry.
It wasn't really a question. I was just saying that if anyone have any questions about Chinese medicine, if they want to read more on books, I can recommend books to them for Chinese medicines. In the 80s and 90s, the early days of the translation from Chinese to English, it was really terrible. It's kind of hard to understand. But now, modern days, there's really good translations of such.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Because we're all improving, are we not? True? We're all improving. Good. Now you can learn it from that point. That's why you're halfway there. like I said, even like Nancy want to do the master and then do the PhD. I said, well, do it now, because you don't have to wait till you got into the university level to do your master, because you already done it. Right? As a supervisor, I can make sure you check it with you preparing it. So the minute, you got back into the university with a master's degree, you submitted it. That's it. That's 1 year. And then after you prepare another, 3 years work. So you don't have to go through the 3 years. So if you've done the whole thing, the damn thing will throw it to the professor of the first year. Ask for defense. They cannot refuse you because you have done your homework. You are taking the risk. So at least you know what you're doing, and then you can get all your recognition fast, because we're using it now. Why don't you do it now? Why do you have to wait till, the curriculum's gone back into? Because I don't know how long it takes, because it's beyond my control now. I have to meet all the directors of different board of the directors of different university, and then the other professor have to assess my curriculum. So it may take years, but during these few years, you do the curriculum, you're halfway there, preparing it. So when I'm time and I hook it back, bang, you are there. It saves you time, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So save me a lot of work, because I just cannot teach you everything, especially Tuila. Now, the best people, if you can find, is blind people. If you have any blind research in your country, learn from them. And I all my bone setting, apart from Professor Go from Zhengzhou TCM, Research Institute, I learned it from Professor Go. And then my other is they're all blind. All my teachers in, the chiropractic, you call chiropractic, we call bone setting, Tuila. Why? They sense things. Amazing, because they lost the sight. They don't see, they feel. And I'm telling you that if you can ask them to teach you, my God, there's a lot of my techniques coming out from this. Yeah. The minute you sense it, you whack on it, bang. Oh, they're so accurate, these guys. So in the future, when the proper curriculum, research, I will pay these blind research to teach you, because Tuila, we call bone setting or physiotherapy, because I teach in faculty of physiotherapy, don't forget. Okay. Yeah. We Chinese have a few thousand years of experiences, but I cannot teach you all. Okay. Yeah. And I'll give you tips. When you start working on your patient, work on the head first. Don't bother working on the spine. No, with the body. So people just say, "Oh, right, yeah, we work on your shoulder." No, don't do that. You waste of time. Open the upper dantian first. That's why even Professor Huang was saying, I said, "Oh, you mean upper dantian, the brain qi?" Yeah, the brain qi. You work with the upper dantian to release the major what? Major naidan, golden liquids, the endorphin out. Your patient will come out as really thank you, get up. Oh, thank you. Because you actually drop them, you completely stone that person. They completely why? Because endorphin is the natural body morphine. That means you actually body pumping natural body drug into him. And that's why it's very important. That's why 85% successful rate with my drug detoxification is because I can induce the endorphin. So this is another topic. If somebody want to pick it up or the PhD dissertations, by all means, write that. Okay. So this is more interesting, isn't it? Instead of just waving your arms about. True.
I do.
Yeah.
I do have a question, and regarding the drug detox that you were just talking about, did you have to work with somebody repetitively to do the detox, or was it a one-time session?
When you even go to the Western doctor, would they give you just one tablet?
Not with the drug detox, no. With the Western drug detox, they will probably give you a substitute for the morphine, so a synthetic, like methadone,
Exactly.
or ibuprofen, something like that. So if you're doing it by releasing endorphins, I'm guessing that it would have to be more than one session.
Of course it does. It depending on which drug. The
They were
reaction,
addicted to, but yeah.
the reaction of taking hashes, the reaction is different from taking really, like heroin and things,
Right.
or speed. Now, give you one example, right? I had help one guy, 28 years in the hard drug. It took me 1 whole year to detox it.
Yeah. And so how did you define detox? Was it when they were no longer wanting to use that drug again, or was it when the drug was out of their system? So, because a physiological detox and a psychological detox.
Yeah, very good question. So do you know what my nickname is, or Paul, or the other people? Chi junkie. Why?
I own as a chi junkie now as well.
I own that as well, isn't it? You are correct, because it's a substitute. People taking drugs because we want to get away from all this problem in the world. They want to get high. True? Yeah, they all don't want to know, so they drug themselves up to high heavens, being happy. Okay, they work because they're chemical, so they have to reach the level of euphoria, euphoric, right? Yeah. Oh, is it correct? Euphoric.
Euphoria.
Euphoria. Yeah, sorry.
In the initial, yeah, usually in the initial stages, that's what motivates people to take the drugs.
Exactly. So they're happy, but because it's synthetic, it's not natural. They're chemical. That's why it damaged the kidney, damaged the lung. Okay, yeah. But we have all got it in our own body. That's the hormones, we call it. Okay, these all biochemical reaction. Fair enough. So that is why we have the cycle of spontaneous. When you go into spontaneous, you're completely stoned. Ask Paul, ask the rest of them. I don't know if you have the experience on that.
I have, yes. I've had quite a number of experiences of it.
There you go. Now, because then we have our own substitute. Why we bother to take outside, and it's costly. You're going to buy drug, it costs you a blinking fortune, and it's damage your health. We got it inside me. The more I do it, the more even healthier I am, because the hormones start balancing all the time. Right? Yeah. And that is why the difference is. So it's a good question. That's a substitute. But can you actually induce, right, enough?
Did you have to teach him then? Did you have to teach him so that he would continue to be able to produce it? Or
Good question as well. That's why we have to teach our patients. Okay, now your teacher, your Sifu before, Jason Dean. Okay, yeah, he came. Sorry, he got a lot of trouble before, and you know that. I cleansed it all up. All my best, shall we say, internal Taoist physicians, they were all my patients. Remember that.
right.
All my patients turn into, because at the end of the day, I open up the endocrine systems and the energy level come out. But so I have to teach them to control them so we can help other people. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and just thinking in terms of somebody who was relying on synthetic drugs, and then they received the treatment from yourself, and they became detoxed from the drugs. They would have to either know how to do it themselves to continue to substitute, or they would have to have psychological recovery at the same time, so they didn't need anything anymore.
When you talk about psychological recovery, right? Yeah, mind and body is one.
Yeah.
So if your physiology, if your physical illness is well, so it would be your psychological level, because the psychological status of the mind also are regulating by the hormones, also regulating by the nidan.
Fair to say, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So now we'll put it into jigsaw puzzle now. So gradually, with your own experience now for so many years now, you start putting things, because that's your Tao now, and that's my job. My job's done. You know what I mean? But like I said, it would be better for you to get recognitions, because at the end of the day, if something happens, so you see how powerful. I'm sure you've seen some Jason Dean sometimes you saw, you know, he was doing his therapy. Some of the people were so powerful, the reaction, and you don't know how to control it. You are in big trouble, isn't it?
Mm.
And I'm telling you some sad story in Slovakia one time. And it was in the newspaper, Miro was showing me, right? And the one woman gone into spontaneous because his sifu from Shanghai, this master, say to her that, oh yeah, you could be free as a bird. And he gone into, you know, the 5 animal, the bird. Of course, other people don't know it. And what happened? The people say, yeah, be free, fly. And he throw himself out 4th floor balcony, dead.
God, that's awful, isn't it?
It all happened all over the world, all through century, because people don't understand how powerful his self-healing ability are. Do you understand that?
Mm.
That's why I don't teach people that I don't know spontaneous. I only teach people methodology, because spontaneous, this next level, you have to get on into the clinical case study, because I'll be there teaching you how to control, because if people completely like that, how are you going to control it? How are you going to decrease the energy level? If it's not enough, all right, you inject energy. What happened is too much. How are you going to, you know, decreasing it? They are technical issue, and you can only teach you when there's a person as a patient right there.
Yeah, you can't learn it in theory, really, can you? It's a very
Experience, practical is also very yin and yang. So that would be the master degree. In the university, I'll take you guys back down into the university hospital to make sure you got patients there. You go to the psychiatric ward, like you see in on my CV, on my film, all the psychological, you know, the ward. You go through with all the patients and see how they come out with all the emotional. So how are you going to regulate that? And all the spasm. So that would be on your master degree. Okay, so I'm sorry I cannot teach you any fastest than that, because at the end of the day, it's your own energy. So some people are, even in Hong Kong University, some doctors, they have, you know, they can go into spontaneous, and they're also doctors, but they don't know how to control it, because they're not specializing in the internal Naidan. That's why they come, you know, and study with me. Of course, in the same time, I study with whatever speciality he can offer me, you know, so it's a knowledge. We all learn from each other. Do you know who is the best teacher? Yeah. Who's the best teacher?
I'm very interested to hear what your answer to that is.
Your patience.
Okay.
Why? You have to learn to make diagnosis. Is this too much or is it insufficient? Okay. Now, of course, in our curriculum, you have to learn. That's why you can learn all this, not from me. There's loads of professors out there. You can just learn it from other qualified teacher. So when you take the pulse, don't forget, when we Chinese taking pulse different from Western medicine taking pulse, okay? We have very complicated things which, you know, I cannot explain to you right this session. So they determined, right? Is it excessive or is it insufficient? Now, what happened if I make a mistake? We all make mistakes. And once you make a mistake in your diagnosis, the entire therapy fail. True? So because you can use the word, through my experience, control therapy, I'm guessing, because it is guessing, right? Yeah, fair enough. But why is it internal Daidan is we got more advantages? Because when I zap the guy, we call testing, so you can see me. I don't zap people more than if necessary. Okay, usually I'll put in, we've got a test. It's about 10 seconds. Right? Yeah. Maybe 2 breath, 3 breath, because I'm testing the guy. I did usually into. So when the guy reacts either in 5 emotional outbursts or 5 animal coming out, now that is the best diagnosis because he directly told me the body, hey, you got a blockage there. If you've gone into the bird, I know it's the heart. So I do the pulse again to double check it. Now that is first-hand information from the patient telling me instead of me guessing, making diagnosis on him. So this is the main difference within external lie down and lie down and lie down.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So these are the things that you have to go through. True. Fair enough. So at least this tonight, first year. So I'll give you some directions. And then next week, all right, we go into exercises now. Okay, yeah. So now I would, like I said, I will teach you the 24 sessions, the 24 hours. Yeah. You will go into the 5 pairs, and the 5 pairs I go into, a little bit different layers. Okay, yeah. And then we see how it goes, and people might drop out already, because everybody wants difference. Okay, yeah. I can only try to help you the best I can. So that's why I give you all the directions. But some people prefer to go, do it a McDonald's way. So sorry, I like Chinese cuisine. I'm not very fond of bloody McDonald's, okay? And it takes time to cook a nice Chinese meal, isn't it? Not to worry.
Yeah.
Shall I say good night? Thank you for, this, gathering, shall we say. So next week we'll be start training now. Okay? Good night.
Thank you, Professor. Bye, everyone. Happy New Year. Bye, everyone.
Right, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
you,
you.
Professor. Bye-bye.
Next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.